What's going on, guys? This is Best Ball Whenever. I have a special guest today here. You probably know him as Emo Cowboy. You can find him on Twitter at emo underscore underscore cowboy. You can also call him Tyler. And I was warned yesterday, if you have Tyler on your stream, you're going to have to unbutton all of the buttons on your shirt. I think I have unbuttoned. Oh, I have one more. I have one more I can do, but I do see that you're going even deeper than I am with the chat. So I'm feeling a little bit, like less of a man right now. Tyler, happy to have you on the stream. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Thanks for having me. This is gonna be fun.
This is going to be fun. And Tyler and I, we don't, this is our first time streaming together. Haven't really known each other that long, but I've seen you on a few streams. I've really always enjoyed your streams on other channels. I love that you're joining Tom this year, doing a weekly, it's just weekly on Monday. You're doing the Fantasy Sanctuary, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to jump right into a draft because Tyler is working right now, so he's going to join me for the first draft. I am going to do a second draft also, but we are together just going to be doing one draft. So we're going to jump into a Best Ball Mania draft. If any of you want to join us here, I've lost count on where I am in my Best Ball Mania journey, Tyler.
Yeah, you're
But
cranking them out, man.
I'm cranking them out quickly. Yeah, Tyler and I were talking before we started a little bit about how many of these drafts I have done already, and then I'm kind of thinking like I kind of wish that I'd slowed down. But as Tyler noted, plenty of other drafts I can join later on if I get through the Best Ball Mania too quickly, or maybe in the middle of the summer I'll stop doing so many Best Ball Mania, start doing some of the other ones so that I can save some of them for like end of September or early August.
Yeah,
Um,
you could also buy yourself time by just doing like ADP and like thought experiment stuff. We're gonna get like weekly news dumps on like Fridays and stuff, especially, or like coming out of weekend updates from camp and stuff. And I mean, you see ADP chasing struggle to get through anything under 2 hours, so you're gonna
yeah,
be able to talk through plenty without actually having to draft too. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah, very true.
options.
I got to give myself like I'm giving myself options by doing these early because I've committed to streaming all 150 Best Ball Mania. So I was like, I just want to start cranking them out. And now I'm like, oh, I've been cranking them out faster than I really need to. Is what it's come down to. So yeah, there's plenty of other content that I could be
Yeah.
doing once I get through more of these, and I'll probably have to pivot at some point.
I mean, the Eliminator is going to be perfect to talk through like the schedule when that drops tomorrow.
Yeah. How full is that? That's the I feel like I love that they dropped it so early because I feel like
That's a
we're
good
gonna have a
question.
big edge on anybody who has already started drafting the eliminator, like because they don't know the bye weeks, which is extremely important. Like if you're drafting two quarterbacks and you have a quarterback on bye, um, that would be a pretty big edge to everybody else you're competing
Yeah,
against.
it's 11.5% filled, and I feel like any edge you were getting in it was just like ADPs, like the rookies and stuff. Like
By
because you
drafting
could,
already, I mean.
yeah. So I don't. I I have awful self-control. I love to draft and I always tell myself, "Oh, I'll wait," and then I blast through everything. But I have yet to do an eliminator just because I know um it's so important to know how the bye weeks stack up.
Yeah.
And also this early too, we have the least amount of information on injuries, especially injuries like coming into the season. So
Yeah.
that's guys like Tank Dell coming off of, fractured leg,
And being
um, you
shot.
know, it's
Also
stuff like
also
that
being
is
shot.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then what's with these players getting dude, it used
Yeah.
to be that players shot themselves and now we're getting just innocent bystander
Yeah. You're right.
players
You're
getting
right.
shot. That's tough. And you've got also like Jonathan Brooks, and TJ Hawkinson. Like those guys are going to be very important to know how the rehab timeline is coming, especially for a guy like Brooks who could avoid pup entirely. But if they end up pupping him, like that's a huge swing and stuff. So like I feel like for week 15 through 17 tournaments, in just in themselves, you can mitigate that pretty easily over the course of the season. But an eliminator, like that's not table stakes. That's like the feature.
Right.
So I'm really holding off drafting that until I at least get schedule stuff. But I feel like bye weeks, that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I think
No,
everything else is important to take into consideration.
yeah, 100%. Like I think, and people might argue that we are giving up edge by drafting Best Ball Mania right now, and I think that is true. Like having the schedule is really important. It's really helpful to have it for those playoff weeks, but it's not giving up nearly as much edge as it is in the Eliminator. in part because everybody in your draft room is on the same page. So you're giving up edge in the playoff weeks, but like you're not
Yeah,
giving it
you're
up to the people in your draft room. Whereas in the
that's a good point.
eliminator, after the first week, you are regrouped. Like you're put into a new group with people who drafted in August, and like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, like
I
it's
don't have I don't have a quarterback this week, and they all do. Like it's, I
yeah.
don't know, it's
Well, it's
pretty difficult.
90% of the player pool is going to be after the schedule. Like that's
Yeah,
massive.
yeah,
So yeah, I didn't see any value in attacking it early outside of just general day one. Hey, the ADPs are wrong, and maybe you like doing like 5 or so on that day of. Maybe you luck box into a super team with ADP and you avoid bye weeks, but it didn't seem logical to even attempt from that standpoint, considering they gave us other options.
right.
Like we have the puppy and the chihuahua, so it's like go draft something where the schedule doesn't matter as much.
Right. Exactly. The schedule is extremely important for the eliminator. Tyler, how does my mic sound to you? Snowman said, Neil, can you turn your mic
You're
up?
good
It might
now.
have been.
Yeah, you tend
Okay.
to be a little quiet when it's further away. This giant microphone contraption. The streamer life is tough for the people that don't know. I'm recently finding out that like getting the camera settings and the microphone settings and the room set up well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's a tough balance because also you're trying to balance what you're seeing and what I'm seeing like on the screen and stuff. So I have I have to shift my entire like work setup to my
Yeah.
stream setup and then back again for
Me too.
now, which I'm now realizing I just need to. So we talked a little off stream. I tend to be people would call it lazy. I like to delegate. So I've got a buddy that loves setting all this stuff up, and I hate the tedium of setting it up and troubleshooting. So I think I'm gonna have to hit him up to come. I'm like, hey, we set up my office to be a really good work spot. I now need this to be like a multifaceted streaming and work setup. So
I think I need a buddy like yours because I have no idea what I'm doing, particularly with like audio, which I agree with you. Like it is an underrated aspect. I've heard other streamers talk about like how important the actual audio is, and I'm like, I
it's
have
more
no
important than
experience
video.
trying
Yeah.
to figure out the audio. Yeah, so it's so I usually just take audience feedback and adjust as necessary. Hopefully, I sound you think I sound better now, Tyler? I moved the
Yeah,
mic a little bit
this is really
closer.
good. Yeah, you
Okay.
just needed it closer. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. Um, yes, yeah, I have a really awkward setup here on my desk where I don't think I like have my mic clamped to my desk, but it's like the desk is falling apart and I like pushed it up against the wall to like secure it in place. It's just like a really awkward setup that I have here with my mic. So if anything goes wrong, I'm gonna be in shambles. I'm gonna have to get a whole new mic set up. But making it work so far.
Dude, this setup, Corain uses it to help with the like echo and the outside noise. And that's my biggest issue is reverb in this office. But it's meant to be a standing setup, like on the desk. But I've got
Huh.
it hanging off of an arm so that it's closer to my face. And so at any point, I'm just waiting for it to it's so heavy. So I'm
It's
just
gonna
waiting
fall
for
on
it
you.
one day to just like fall into my mouth as
Yeah.
I'm live. Because it's not, it's so heavy. So it's like even then I'm gonna have to play around with it.
Maybe I need one of those. Is that an expensive contraption?
No, so the 3 panel one was like 30-40 bucks and it goes up to 5 panels. They like snap into each other.
Okay.
Um, I think what I'm gonna just have to do is I'm gonna have to set it up. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to change the setup because it's this being right next to my face is obviously not
Not
ideal.
ideal from a
Uh,
video perspective.
I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't.
It kind of fits in with the Iron Man behind it. Like it looks a little bit like robotic. I don't know.
That's a good point. I may have one of the busiest video setups of any streamer. And just fun fact for no one that gives a shit, but I change up the background every stream. The background's different. Iron
Oh,
Man's
nice.
dressed differently. Yesterday I had my Drew Brees signed Saints helmet with a cowboy hat on top of it. Today we just got the Wolverine claws and the sunglasses. So
Nice.
I for anybody that actually cares about watching visually, I try to change it up a little bit because I also get easily bored with stuff.
Is that a Pokemon ball in the back? That was kind
It
of after
is.
my
Oh, so
time Pokemon, but I recognize that.
this is fun. It's actually like motion controlled
Ooh,
for like lighting up.
that's
Again,
cool.
I have severe ADHD, so I get bored, so I have to have trinkets to play with to keep the things, interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great setup. There's a people could just like look through your background the entire stream and find new interesting things in the background there.
Hey, if it keeps viewers, it keeps viewers. I don't
That's
care.
right.
And
That's right.
uh
So we are up next, by the way. We got the
yeah.
seventh pick if you didn't see. We could go. So if we sort by ADP, it's Bijan, Brees Hall, Puka, AJ Brown. Do you have a preference in this range?
I mean, these guys are all kind of the same to me. I don't have a ton of Bijan. Bijan feels like he could
I
just
don't either.
absolutely smash on usage. Brees maybe a little bit more trepidatious. So it's probably Bijan or
Yeah.
Puka for me. I like either one.
All right, I'm gonna
Um,
do Bijan because I also. Oh man, we just get a note here. Tending to an ankle injury. Are we gonna get a falling Bijan later on? So I did Bijan in part because I also am underexposed. Like I don't know if I have him like in any best ball mania yet. So we'll break
oh,
the tie
really?
that
Okay,
way. I'm not.
cool. I like
I
it.
might be. People could tell me if I'm wrong because I've streamed every single one of my drafts, and some people have been here for a lot of them. So maybe you could tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't recall drafting any Bijan yet because a lot of people will take him ahead of like Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I auto
Yeah.
receiver in that spot if I can, but
Well, in a year where the running back has never been cheaper, it is kind of weird. I've already gotten into a rhythm because I'm smashing I maxed the Schnauzer, I'll be maxing the Chihuahua. I've been hammering puppies. I'm doing the Best Ball Mania, as you mentioned, Mondays with Tom. And so I've noticed that I don't mind. I've already got like my zero running back preferred. I've got my kind of guys to hit in the first 3 round pockets and then in the 5 to 9 pocket. And one thing I'm coming back to is just there are so few true profiles that you like are unquestionably good. And I think Bijan's probably the true closest to CMC right now. Like Brees is awesome, and I love Brees, but the Jets are like a giant dumpster fire,
yeah,
and they just double tapped rookie running backs. And Hackett is so incompetent. They've now leaked that they want to hire somebody above him to manage and hope Aaron Rodgers calls everything. And like when we're just talking about stability, a guy who we know is awesome, has no injury, had a QB and an OC upgrade, and
yep,
then could just absolutely smash. Like his expected fantasy points were like top 2, top 3 whenever he was getting all of the red zone work, which we expect to happen. So as far as all that's concerned, I probably just need to be more aggressive on trying to get more Bijan right now because I fully expect peak casual season he'll be like a top 5 pick, top 3 pick.
yeah. Um, Ayuk is top of the board in terms of ADP. If you don't like Ayuk, we got Devonte Adams, Kyron Williams, Debo Samuel. Any thoughts here?
It's probably Ayuk or Debo. I've been drafting a lot of Ayuk just because he has the earlier ADP, but Debo has more of the 30-point games to his repertoire. So
All
I don't
right.
know if any of that shifts it for you.
So I had this conversation with Bindles yesterday or 2 days ago. I forget when Bindles is on now. Time is just a construct. We talked about the Debo versus Ayuk thing, and I know I listened to the ADP chase, and they were talking about how like Ayuk has never had like a 30-point game. I don't really put a lot of stock into that. I do think that Ayuk is going to emerge one of these days. And I think Hayden Winks is making that point. Like, yeah, he hasn't really done it
Yeah.
yet, but like he feels so I have been taking generally Ayuk ahead of Debo, but also I don't want to make like a huge bet on Ayuk versus Debo. Like I agree with you. Like Debo
Yes.
clearly has a ton of upside also, and Bindles made the point that Debo also has the contingent upside of CMC injury. Like probably gets used
Yeah.
a little bit more in
Yeah.
that running back type role. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Everybody's trying to find who the RB2 is, and the RB2 is usually Debo, and then the RB3 is whoever the backup is because they definitely do use Debo more. Even if he's not getting rushes, he's getting more of that short work
yeah,
in the passing game. But I think the salient point is I think the ADP gap was really being excited that Ayuk might get traded to like
yep,
the Bills or the Jags to like be the true wide receiver one on the team. And I don't think his ADP's adjusted. I think also from the BBM perspective, Debo usually falls closer to the 1-2 turn. So as far as like diversifying, like you said, you don't, yeah, neither, I'm in agreement with you. I'd rather be pretty close to 50-50 on Ayuk and Debo,
yeah.
given what we know now. And if Debo's usually getting paired up with the 1 through 3 picks. Well, I guess more of the Bijan teams will be
Yeah.
with Brandon Ayuk more often at this point. I think ADP is going to shift enough, but I think that's going to be pulling running backs up and not necessarily pushing wide receivers up. So I'm fine
Yeah.
with that, like little unique lever.
I agree. I think that is, yeah, we're getting a little bit of combinatorial uniqueness there. How do you feel about these wide receivers? We've got Malik Neighbors, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Cooper Cup, or
It's probably
Josh Allen.
Malik. It's probably Malik or Metcalf. I mean, I've seen Josh keep falling, so I don't want to be the one like keeping his ADP up because if he's
Yeah.
going closer to 3-4 turn like on a regular basis, I like that a lot. And then when I think of like week 17, it's either Dimes or Drew Lock just airing it out and Malik being the best player on the field. That feels nice. That feels fun, especially if they end up playing like a Philly or Dallas week 17, which we've seen the last few years
Yeah.
pretty regularly. So like as far as like
Oh,
pushing
that'd
the
be fun.
offense, I like it.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm in on Neighbors also this year, and I've seen he's another one of those players. I've seen sharp players be like, I'm completely out on Neighbors at this ADP in this offense, but I'm kind of like, we've seen Daniel Jones be good at times in the past. I think both Daniel Jones and Drew Lock are good enough at their best to support a top pass catcher. I think Malik Neighbors is just very clearly the top pass catcher there. So I think that it's
Yeah.
actually like, you can talk about the landing spot being like, some people think it's a bad landing spot in New York because none of the receivers are really good last year, but I think that they could be. Like, I think it's a good enough landing spot. I kind of like the landing spot for Neighbors.
I see. I'm torn because like the quarterback does kind of suck and he's
Yeah.
coming off an injury, but that injury is likely to sap his rushing production. And the line wasn't good. It
Yep.
didn't get big upgrades, but it got a few pieces. But I think they went in knowing, and it's Dayball, who I trust a lot to like make something out of nothing. He did it with DeVito. So I think what makes me feel better about Malik is his yak ability is unmatched, and this is an offense that likely lowers the A dot, and they did that with Dimes to like just try to get it out quickly and utilize those guys. And when it comes to that, like he's gonna dominate targets over the Wandale, the Hyatt, and the Slayton, profiles. So I think his floor is safe as like a supercharged Keenan on just a worse team, which I'll take. And then the upside is that he like connects on like deep targets, or he just goes absolutely nuts. With the yak stuff, a la Claypool and OBJ. So, and yeah, see like Josh falling all the way back around. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Almost got to us. Did not quite get there to us.
Would have been nice.
Do you want to take a running back here? We go Trey McBride.
I
Uh,
can't stop taking McBride. I really like locking up an elite tight end. I
I
think,
do too. I'm a sucker for the elite tight ends.
yeah.
So
It also gives us like, stacking outs, which I
yeah,
like.
give us an elite quarterback stacking out too, which it's
Yeah.
fun. Like, I'm always happy to get a Kyler team. Like, it's always like, yeah, hell yeah, getting Kyler at pick 80 feels really nice to me. So if we can get that around ADP, I'd definitely take
I'm
that.
surprised that his ADP is not rising faster and higher. Like it's moving slower, but it's
Yeah.
not as much as I would have expected. Sorry, I immediately got distracted by the chest hair comment. No, brother, if I shave anything, it's shaving my nipples. The chest hair is what's sexy. So that's what we let out.
Is the nipple hair not sexy? As long as you've got
I
hair
don't.
all around it, like,
Well, that's
why
the
not?
thing. So my pops was a hairy dude, and
Okay.
so I've got like half of his hairy, but I just don't like pockets of hair on my nipples. It's just not a me thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
So you
whatever.
leave this, you shave this. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you want it directional, suggested. Let's keep the focus lower. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
just
Yep.
having some fun with the chat, but
So this might surprise some people, but back in the day, I was a cross country runner on my college cross country team, and I came in as a freshman, and like, there were multiple guys, like upperclassmen on the team, who nared their chests. I don't know if you know what nair is, but like, it's a cream that you rub on, and just like all the hair just comes
oh,
off, and you become
right,
like
right,
completely. So I did that a couple times, like my freshman sophomore year of college,
for like
and then eventually
aerodynamics.
eventually came around to no, it's just better to, yeah,
Yeah, you don't want
aerodynamic.
chafing. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind
I,
of think it was an aerodynamics slash like show off your muscles a little bit better, like your muscles
yeah.
shine a little bit better with
Oh yeah.
how
Well,
yeah.
my wife gives me a hard time because I don't take care of myself the way I should, like sunscreens and stuff. But when I realize that like the spray on sunscreens just leave like a sheen on you outside, I'm like, oh, that's hot. That looks sexy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm pro sunscreen if it makes the muscles pop.
You got to make sure that it's strong enough. Strong enough. What's the UV? I guess because I went to Puerto Rico last year. Yeah, I think it was just
Mhm.
last year. We went to Puerto Rico and I sprayed it on, and I'm also a guy who has never used sunscreen really. Like I've always just allowed the sun to burn me a little bit. But I actually sprayed it on. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be responsible here, and I sprayed it on. But of course, I have no idea what I'm doing, no experience with it. So we go into the water shortly after, and I come back out and we sit there for a while, and it was like, oh my god, it was the worst sunburn I've ever had in my life after actually applying some of that stuff. So
Jeez,
you still got to be careful there.
you got toasted. Did you use like sunscreen or was that like tanning
It was
screen?
the spray on, yeah,
Because they make
sunscreen.
okay, yeah. That's tough, man. That's tough. And my thing is I sweat so much
Ooh,
that
Mahomes goes. I was kind of hoping that we were going to get a fall in Mahomes there, but whatever. We could go Mari Cooper, Christian Kirk.
yeah, I think I'm Cooper, Kirk, or McLaurin here.
I
Um
wouldn't hate McLaurin either. Yeah. Do you have a preference between those three?
McLaurin is a more fun stack, but I do like and have a lot of Cooper. So not
I
mad
kind
at
of
either one of those things.
let's go with Cooper because in part because I kind of want to hope that we can get Kyler right at ADP, and I don't really want to go Kyler and then Jaden Daniels like that. I don't know. That could be a fun stack in retrospect also. But also like if I'm taking Kyler, I kind of just want to wait on my second quarterback probably. I don't know. I'm torn.
I think outside of like the first I think if you're taking a quarterback in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I think it's prudent to push. But then I think after that, price is I think the price is mitigated by the stack, right? Because like Jaden going in like what the eighth, ninth round, but then
Yeah.
you're done at the position and you've established a super high floor and ceiling with in this hypothetical, it's Kyler and Jaden.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine because you're getting two quarterbacks outside the top, uh, what like probably like 75 picks that give you access to top 3 round upside. I don't have an issue with that. I probably will only push quarterback if I'm taking the like top 5 round guys. And even then, it depends on like if I have a stack I can complete and a guy falls, like I'll push to try to get a falling guy and I'll try not to take a quarterback, but I'm trying to make myself think through. I ended up getting really like concentrated quarterbacks last year.
Hmm.
Part of it was just me like going in, I want a lot of these guys. And I'm trying to be more cognizant of like, over the course of a season, over the course of the 3 week gauntlet, and over the course of like that final game, I want guys with their stacks.
Do we want a running back here? I guess. Oh no, Pitts goes before us. I was going to say we could have added him onto an
Mm.
Atlanta stack. We could go Odunze, go multiple elite wide receiver, rookie wide receivers, or just go Kenneth Walker, George
I,
Kittle.
I I'm Romer Kittle here. Um,
Kittle go. I guess Kittle is our second tight end, but also he's part of a stack here that we could
but
do.
it finishes tight end. And right now,
Yeah,
drafting early, the late tight ends are more dubious because we don't have like camp news to tell us who's actually going and who's not.
yeah.
So that's where I'm okay getting the stack because now, again, I'm also trying to make myself feel like, hey, if I don't have strong feelings, lean to guys that could give you bailout stacks if you get sniped because like
Yep,
these rooms
absolutely.
aren't always minding their lanes.
No, that is definitely true. And yeah, I agree with you. Totally fine to do Kyler and Jaden, and actually, it's something that would be really fun to do at some point because that's an awesome team. If you can stack those up, those two teams up, get the one of at least one of the elite pass catchers for Arizona, and then you can if you throw Terry McLaurin on, you can throw on some back stack pieces on both of them pretty easily. That's a fun
Yeah.
team. So we could have absolutely gone Terry McLaurin. Like I kind of regret not doing it now.
I don't
But
mind it just because Cooper, the floor and ceiling he has shown,
yeah,
he's a better
he's just good.
player. Yeah, he's a better player than McLaurin. And while I think Jaden's upside, like I think Watson's pretty clearly dust, and he's not. I don't think he's likely to be better than he was last year coming off a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
But I think the things that Bowie Cooper are, he's very good. Dorsey is the new OC, so I think it's even more likely to be like heavily concentrated on the top passing options in a spread offense, and maybe Watson's badness isn't noticeable from the standpoint of like short, intermediate, quick throw stuff that Cooper still has in his bag. And then if Watson's bad, we know this team's going to compete, and the backup is Jameis Winston, who has fed Evans and Godwin to like, and then even Olave to like insane ceiling levels of targets. So I feel like Cooper's probably the perfect like best ball. I'm playing him for his ceiling outcomes. I think his expected floor is fine, but that's a guy like in best ball. I'm trying to remind myself that like when in doubt, go for like, especially in the top like 50 or so picks, you want guys with like insane upside. So like going Kittle there too, same thought process of like McBride paying off a 4th round ADP is like putting up Mondo weeks on targets and touchdowns. But then ideally he's only being superseded when Kittle's having his 30-point game.
Right.
You know?
His 3
so I like that a lot.
Games that happen seemingly every year. Like it seems like you can count on it. Every year I'm like, I kind of wonder at some point during the year, is Kittle dust now? Like, is it just not going to happen for us this year? Right. And then every year it happens. He gets that 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, or 3 touchdowns in a game. That is just
everyone's gotten 3 touchdowns in a game in that offense except for Ayuk.
Yeah, which is like it's gonna happen. I swear. I think it's gonna happen. All right, we got to go Kyler here, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's an easy one. We got our
I also like Kyler in a. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we got our skinny stack. I completed my thought. so go ahead.
No, I also like Kyler in builds like this because we're a little bit thinner at wide receiver through the first 80 picks than we normally would be comfortable with, but he's got the rest of his players outside of Marv and outside of McBride. The rest of his offense is very cheap, very affordable, starting at Connor and ending with Zay Jones, Greg Dortch, etc. late. So as far as stacking this offense, I think those guys are undervalued based on what they could be in this offense if it's doing what we want it to do. But we've also got a little bit of, spike spice and rookie. So I like this a lot. And also, I know this isn't a popular thought, but flex isn't often tight end. But I think we've got 2 tight ends that have proven that they can absolutely crack a lineup going over 20 points. And McBride did that a lot without scoring touchdowns. So in this new environment where I expect him to be even better and more efficient, if he loses 1.5 targets expected a game with Marv in town, I think he'll make up for that in that this offense is likely to score more and score more often. And I think that the Zay Jones thing is a double signal that, hey, Marv, Zay, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, like we're moving fully away from this horizontal protect Kyler offense that Cliff ran and that, they ran last year, him coming off ACL. Like they can now just full throttle open it up. And so I like building like this a lot, especially right now.
Yeah, I do too. My one concern is like how much was Trey McBride just a matter of like they didn't have anybody else to throw the ball to. Like he was just like clearly separated from the rest of the pack there. And I'm, by the way, I'm very in on Trey McBride too. I'm just stating like I'm nervous a little bit about how much Trey McBride I'm drafting because I'm like, well, what if Marvin Harrison is just that guy now and Trey McBride is kind of taking that back seat and like is he really worth a 4th round pick if he is like not getting quite the same volume?
Yeah, and I just easily yada that away because we were drafting Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce as like round 1 and 2 guys. Like we've seen an offense like this offense, McBride, the only guy that can be better than him is Marv. Zay is not better than him. Michael Wilson's not better than he is. Greg Dortch is not better than he is. James Conner, Trey Benson, neither one of those guys is like high target share guy. So it's like, to me, I welcome Marv because I just think that means this offense scores more and Kyler doesn't have to check down. Like they can actually like get chunk plays more often. So ideally more red zone trips.
Yep. All right. We are back on the clock. We have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 receivers, and 2 tight ends. Could just go DeAndre Hopkins here.
I'm smashing Hopkins to the bank, especially after ADP.
Glad to hear that because that is especially here because we only had 3 wide receivers here at pick 90 feels a little bit thin. So I was glad that you are on the same page there. I did want to talk about a little bit about stacking since we were talking about like how to stack up Kyler. Um, so I think, and I listened to your show with Tom. You guys started the show talking about stacking and how you feel about stacking in general. And you and Tom were both on the same page of like you're more into the skinny stack. And I just want to like flesh that out a little bit. So
Sure.
so what is it? Because my instinct is I want to be at least double stacking, preferably like triple stacking with my quarterback in general. But it is one of those things that I kind of think intelligent minds differ. It's just one of those things that like I've heard very smart people on both sides of this debate. And that's just like, and my instinct is a little bit different than yours. So would love to hear your thoughts on why you prefer skinny stacks in best ball.
Well, so just to disclaim, I am by no means a genius. I listen to a lot of smart
Most of us
people
aren't. Most of us are
say a
not in
lot
this
of
space.
smart things. I just do my best to distill it in a meaningful way for myself. So like I the the lens that I'm viewing it through is I think stacking is always good, but the level of stacking is I think it comes down to who are you stacking. So I think I think that like it doesn't have to be hard. So I'm thinking simplistically, pocket quarterback like Goff, it is always going to be more prudent to add to his stack because it is very likely that if he's hitting a 30-point ceiling game or whatever, that is coming with two players. And we saw that a lot last year, whether it was Gibbs and Amon Ra and Laporta, and JMO. Like very often, multiple guys are getting there in that offense while Goff's having a ceiling game. And when he's not, it's one guy. So I think, and then from a rushing standpoint, there are quarterbacks who are not, really helping elevate more than one pass catcher weekly because they can easily get there. So I look at a guy like Kyler, and we've seen him run a very efficient offense that can score a lot, but not like it's usually really concentrated on like one guy.
How do you feel here about, I mean, Trey Benson add on to our Arizona stack a little bit, or
I think
like what do you think?
Trey stacking makes sense. And he's got like a pass catching profile. I like Robinson over him, but sometimes he falls.
True.
Uh, those are kind of my only two thoughts there. But I think running back is a good pocket to hit here.
Yeah, I think that they have said that they are going to use him a little bit more as a pass catcher than maybe we anticipate. So in that case, I sort of
Yeah.
Kyler also I don't think is going to be targeting him a ton. I don't know. It's but just fun to add on to a fun Arizona stack and
Well, I mean,
break the tie
Connor
there.
Connor's likely to, Connor plays a high injury position. He's in his last year of his contract. When we're thinking late season, we're thinking final week. Um, Trey's got enough juice to like get there on. I don't know. I kind of view him kind of like Chase Brown. Um,
Okay.
in like the standpoint of like he's probably more of a change of pace guy that can mix in, but he's not likely to be like a workhorse at any point. I don't think the coaching staff thinks of him like that. Um, it's just kind of my take right now. So at that point, hey, give me a wheel route or a dump off, for a big score, or it's something akin to that. And then if Connor misses time, he's probably like the 1A, which means maybe he sees half of the red zone work, maybe he doesn't. We don't know yet. So I'm fine with him at that price, just because of his profile and because of the stack. But I'm gonna be dubious if he gets too much more expensive. But if they're going basically back to back with each other, like the Arizona Cardinal backs have been going the last few years,
Right.
I'm fine mixing him in. But I mean, Connor was really really good last year, and I think it's smart for them to just kind of ride him into the dust and see what Trey can give them. Um, so I don't want to get too excited about a guy who did have his own red flags coming out of college.
Right. I'm realizing we could have gone with Brock Purdy there. We do have the double San Francisco stack, but
There's a
whatever.
potential he got pushed around though, which I don't mind
Yeah,
pushing.
that's also true. And we've got back stacks, three of them available here. Do we want to just go Brian Robinson now? Keep
I would be Robinson or I would be Shaheed. There's a chance we get
oh
Shaheed
Shaheed
coming
is
back
there.
around. He's a big target of mine.
Yeah, he
In these
could come back
builds.
around though.
Yeah. So I'd be fine with Robinson just because he's getting closer to letting us quit at like, five running backs.
Yeah. No, I like the. I will say Trey Benson. So I think that I like him a little bit better than you do. In part, I think that I have been biased by the fantasy points guys. Like so Scott Barrett and Brett Whitefield did a like running back review where they talked about Trey Benson, and they both loved him, and like we're comparing, they were like, I think he could be Melvin Gordon in the NFL. He's going to catch passes better. And it's like, oh shit, okay, this guy's like, he's legit, based on
Yeah.
and I'm probably jumping the shark by just like, they give their best case scenario, and I'm like, that's who he's going to be now. So I'm
Right.
probably a little bit too high on Trey Benson right now. But I do, so part of the reason that I like Brian Robinson here is I do like Trey Benson best as like a third running back, and in
Hmm.
this case I think even though we took him second, I still kind of consider him to be the third running back on this team behind
Yeah.
Bijan and Brian Robinson. Like he's gonna, like, he's probably not going to be that great right away. Maybe he will be, maybe he'll surprise us, but like more like
Yeah.
he could come on for the playoffs kind of guy and be exciting at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have Bijan, so we're counting on him to be that like 20 to 26 point, expected week guy.
Yeah,
So at RB2, you've got a guy in Brian Robinson who can be just a total um, goal line hog, and Trey Benson who could be anything. He could be James Conner. He could
yeah,
be shitty Chase Edmonds right now. We don't know.
yeah.
But it's worth a dart at this range of the draft. Yeah, I mean, you can't really defend taking uh, some of the guys above him around him. I was asked to give a Jonathan Brooks take.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's hear it.
As a simple man, uh, the first running back taken who everybody and their mother liked from an analytical standpoint and a film standpoint, and a guy that the Dallas Cowboys obviously wanted to have like really, really badly, who is super young. Uh, I'm fine with the ACL concerns keeping his price down because he profiles like a workhorse back. He's in an offense that's going to use a running back like a workhorse, and it's just it smash him. If he was on the Cowboys, he'd already be going in the top 70. So I'm fine taking that discount.
All right, we don't have any quarterbacks that I think are pressing here. Here I can sort by ADP. Do you want to go running back again? We could throw Ty onto the Tennessee stack.
Tajay stacks and gets us closer to like really finishing out at
Yeah,
5, but I'm also okay with taking a dart on like Brandon Cooks, or there's another guy. I think we probably take Tajay here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so we get our Ty and we can see if the other are you also a Leggett guy? I know we got Bindles in chat. Bindles being a huge Xavier Leggett guy, or are you also a huge fan of him?
I like him. I think I'm gonna enjoy being unique from some of my sharper like like 10-15% of the draft pool is like super sharp. Um and plenty of them don't like Leggett and they're holding a lot against him, but I think the COVID environment really makes the last few years tougher than normal, and we've kind of see that be weird in a couple different ways. So I like what he presents. I like leveraging him against going on 35-year-old Adam Thielen in a
Yeah,
so route. Like he's a good route runner, and he's a good target earner, but he's not like an alpha in Deontay, who's also on his last year of the contract. So I think as far as like guys that have juice, they could really pop. Leggett's fun. I just wish he was with a quarterback that probably fit his skill set better. I'll be really interested to see how Camp goes out, because if he's pushing for that second or third wide receiver early and often, then he'll get utilized a lot. But the guy I'm thinking of specifically is apparently a guy you are huge on as well. So
yes.
I've been hammering a lot of him,
All right.
and I'm noticing that everyone I talk about is getting taken in true stream fashion. So
Yep.
I will leave it at that.
It is inevitable that our guy is going to be taken from us just when he's right in our grasp here.
Yeah, but yeah. So Leggett, I'm not going to hold it against him. And much like Brooks, if the Bryce and Carolina stink is going to keep him down despite really good news and really good outlook, then I'm going to
All
be
right.
in.
So is
Hell
this our
yeah.
guy we're talking about? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. In.
Yeah, give me
I'll
access
never
to
say
a
no.
yeah, give me access to a high scoring offense with a up and coming quarterback who is going outside of the top 120. Please.
It's funny because he is like literally being taken as the wide receiver 4 on his team. I assume that I haven't actually looked at this. I assume that he is the first wide receiver 4 being drafted, or I think I'm saying this wrong because I don't consider him to be the wide receiver, but like as far as ADP goes, he is the fourth wide receiver being drafted on his team. And like normally that would be like, oh, I don't really want that, right? I don't want to take the fourth receiver on a team, but I'm like, I don't really think that he's going to be the wide receiver four on his team. So it's a weird situation where it's like he's being drafted too early for a wide receiver four, but he's being drafted too late for what I think he is, which is like could be a wide receiver one. Like I'm not
Right.
sure that he's not the wide receiver one.
Well, it's funny because seemingly all of the players are mispriced inappropriately,
Yeah.
right? Like Jaden Reed's probably too expensive for a guy that. I mean, here's the thing, and if this blows up if it blows up my stuff, it blows up my stuff. Jaden does not figure to be like a starting two wide receiver set guy, given everybody's healthy. We saw that in the playoffs. It took everybody by shock that wasn't paying attention. But McFleur has really been talking like the Kansas City Chiefs talked about like the last 2 years going into this season, which was we're going to rotate these guys. It's going to frustrate people, but we've got roles and we've got packages that fit these guys really well, fit the plays we want to do really well, and then health unbecoming. And Watson has shown us he's closer to the Claypool archetype than he is the Devontae Adams archetype. Super athletic, super efficient, struggle with an injury, and even when he's healthy, he's not earning like a high target share.
Yeah.
And he and Love just aren't really connecting on a regular basis. And Devontae Wicks has been like 3 separate times in the last 5 months. The coaching staff has kept talking. He reminds us of Devontae. He reminds us of Devontae. So I'm gonna listen to that. Because he's one of the few guys that has like the body and profile that could be on the starting 2 wide receiver set, and Dobbs doesn't profile as good as he does.
All right, let's make our pick.
What's our next pick number, just for giggles?
162. So 151,
Okay.
162.
Do we take Lloyd here and we're done at running back, and then maybe push, or do you want to go wide receiver here?
I kind of prefer wide receiver here.
Do you have a strong take?
Nope.
Jermaine.
Shit.
I should have been faster. I'm sorry. It's fine.
Oh,
look at you!
Let's go.
Quick, I put you on the spot. You got to clip that.
I'm a vet right here. I feel like that was actually like a lag on Underdog because I don't think I got there in time. I feel like that was just a
shout out to Numi pausing it for us.
Yeah, thank you, Numi. Numi's really the one with the quick. He was like, I want to let these guys get their guy. I'm going to pause.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to say it, but then I was like, if we end up wanting to push him, I don't want to totally fuck us there.
No, we really used that 30 seconds because we didn't really want to start the conversation beforehand, and then we just went.
Yeah. I'm still getting my reps in of like the pick to pick, but do you have any strong feelings like about those rookies in that range?
So I'm definitely in on Burton. Burton is to me, I like him better than Pearsall just because I think I've heard good things about both of them in terms of like skill. Like I think like you can hear people make really good cases for both of them as being great receivers. I feel like the path is just cleaner for Burton to be the wide receiver 3 than it is for Pearsall or like to be to be in a spot that matters. I guess the wide receiver 3, maybe Pearsall is just as likely to beat out Juwan Jennings as Burton is to beat out Yoshevich, but I think that is more meaningful on the Bengals because like he doesn't have to compete with the tight end. All right, what do you think here? Do we go? We still could go Deshaun Watson if we wanted to, or could wait out. Or actually, is Will Levis gone? We could go Will Levis here, push him one more round.
I'm more comfortable pushing Levis. I think it's probably Roman.
I haven't drafted a lot of Roman, but I kind of like that. Yeah, so part of the reason that I was thinking about taking Polk with that last one is just the Drake May out. We got the same thing with Roman Wilson. It's a little bit hairier with Roman Wilson. Do you have a preference between your Pittsburgh quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's the problem. I was talking to Nez about this last night because I was like, hey, you're the Pittsburgh guy. My read this full season is believe coaches when they're, especially guys like Tomlin, they pretty much do what they say. So I went into it going, hey, they went and prioritized getting Russ, and they only brought in Fields because Kenny Pickett made a stink, forced his way out, and they could get Fields for cheap. And Fields and Russ present more of a one-to-one replacement than, trying to get like there's no one really on the market that would fit the same offense and Arthur Smith that Russ would. So I was thinking, hey, Russ might end up being this super gross, ugly starter all season long because Tomlin's going to get this team, in the playoff hunt. They're not going to jack around, and everybody's going to hold out hope for Fields like they did for Lance. And I think this is going to be an easy lever to pull. Nez convinced me that this team is far more likely to make a quarterback change to like make it work. And they did that with Pickett, but I think I wanted to push back that like Pickett sucks so bad
Right.
that it was not a hard decision for them just to go, screw it. Let's see what Rudolph does. And Rudolph smashed. So I still think I probably lean Russ because he wasn't bad last year. They needed to bench him for like macho reasons, but also contractual. Like they couldn't risk him getting hurt and locking in for the foreseeable season. Russ is on the vet minimum. He's no risk to them. They didn't pick up the Fields thing. So I think this might end up being a situation to avoid unless we get more information because, I mean, yeah, maybe Russ just hits a rough patch versus really good teams and they decide, hey, we need to let the young guy get reps. So I'm trying to stay open to it and not too grounded, but my gut tells me Russ more likely than not.
All right, the quarterbacks are jumping off the page here. Will Levis goes. Deshaun Watson goes. We lost a couple of our stacking partners, though. Let me throw out another thought that I've had. Something that I have not done yet, but I've considered doing is both Pittsburgh quarterbacks. Well, I guess let's make a pick first.
I thought about it too.
Let's see, by ADP.
Tyrone's a team stack, and he's a rookie upside bet. Or we take
I'm gonna star him because I don't hate that pick.
I mean, we could.
Yeah, we have 3 more picks left to make here. All right, so what do we have left? So we have the Pittsburgh stacking options. Is that it? We lost our Tennessee. We lost our. Oh, we got a late New York. So we've
got a New York double stack now, and we also have the. We've also got the pull in case of emergency New England back stack, which I think is prudent given who we have currently at all the other things. I think that's a pretty wise decision to make as far as darts this late and on a team like this. And then the second I say that, my preferred New England late stack goes immediately.
Yeah, both Javon Baker and Antonio Gibson go right away. Nick says Bo Nix has the low Jordan Humphrey out. I've been thinking like Josh Reynolds as a last round pick. Like there's a non-zero that he's the best, like one of the best receivers there.
Yeah, well, and I've thought about that. I've done that a couple times myself. Yeah, they signed Josh Reynolds to a something contract. Tim Patrick is coming off his 3rd injury in a row. The rookies are all unproven. It's Peyton we're talking about. So it's probably Cortland, Reynolds, and Mims and Franklin rotate being the deep guy.
Right.
So yeah, I don't mind that either. It's not fun until you realize that we have a lot of rookies we're banking on to pop. So a vet to kind of hold down the fort potentially in an offense that we're betting makes a quarterback matter isn't the worst thing. And Reynolds operated really well as like the wide receiver 2 last year, especially for like a team that likes to run block in the Lions, and Denver does the same thing.
I would say Reynolds isn't fun, but Bo Nix is fun, in my opinion. I really like Bo Nix as like a fun late round pick that for some reason has not gotten steam nearly as much as I thought he would.
Yeah, I mean, I think Camp Hype's going to make him.
Oh, Daniel Jones goes. Okay.
I mean, that kind of forces our hand, I think.
Do you want to go Bo Nix? Do you want to go?
We can also take May and take a more gross receiver than Reynolds.
Do you prefer May over Nix on this team?
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of May, so let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's prudent. We can make this work with him.
I'm still thinking that this is a 3 quarterback team, and now we could go either Bo Nix or one of the Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or do you think we just stick with? I mean, we do have pretty elite in Kyler, like he could just hold down the fort. I think
there's also the potential. There's also the potential that we're making a bet that he's gonna be a quarterback 1 most of the season, but there's a potential he's got like an early bye, or Drake like sits too long,
right?
And I think you want to help yourself get your guys there.
Yeah, I like that. Um, yeah. What is Seosin?
Oh hell yeah! Shout out Travis White, Travis Hat. Yeah, no. So this is a band in
Yeah,
true emo cowboy fashion. I feel like I have to rep.
yeah.
It's a niche hobby we have in fantasy sports and best ball, and I feel like you got to double down with your niche music hobby. So Seosin is a like a emo hardcore band from way back in the day. They just dropped this Compton style hat. I think
It's a
a
cool
month
hat.
or so ago. It's a limited variant. I love Seosin. If you don't know Travis, they're doing a tour with Cove to do the self-titled album this coming year, and I can't wait to go see them. It's gonna be lit.
Are they a newer band? Have they been around a while? What's
They
the
they they came out like right. They were one of the first pioneers of like that emo metalcore hardcore like style. They ended up inspiring a lot of the bands of the early 2000s, but their early run with Anthony Green ended pretty shortly, and so they brought in this guy Cove to do a self-titled. That album was like monumental for the scene, but a lot of like band drama happened. They didn't last past like a second album that kind of tore them all apart. And now with like this emo revival, and all the guys kind of like getting their stuff settled, and they're all making their way back to like old bands to kind of like revitalize. It's been really fun and awesome.
nice? Um, I feel like emo does not age well for bands. Like I feel like it's a music that's like better for like performing when you're like under 35. I don't know. Would you agree with that, or
Uh,
do you think that am I just being an old head here? All right,
no, I mean
let's make our pick.
that's usually the stigma. Yeah.
Um,
So I think we can push our New
Born.
England
Yeah.
stack to the last pick. I don't think anybody's going to snipe us on those guys. So the question is, do you want your third quarterback here?
Russ. Where's Russ?
Yeah, I think we just got to bet on Russ
Yeah. Well,
with
we
what we
got
know
sniped
now.
on Fields and Bo Nix. So,
Oh,
um,
and the Knicks go too. Oh shit,
I'm
yeah.
fairly certain that Humble Legend watches my streams, and because he makes some bizarre snipes. Some
I'm in a lot of
pretty
drafts with him. He does what he wants.
okay.
But I don't mind this because you know what? Worst case scenario, I do think Russ is the favorite to start a majority of the season.
Yeah.
So if the downside is he doesn't make it to week 17, well, we're pretty damn sure Drake May's making it to week 17. So
Yeah.
I
True.
don't mind that at all.
Yeah, you're right. We have the early season quarterback for Pittsburgh, the late season quarterback for New England. It works out. It's a good stack.
But yeah, to answer
Um,
your email question, it's definitely, I mean, it was bagged on early in the day. It's still bagged on, but now it's kind of that the folks involved in that 20-year scene are now kind of like it's the cool fun thing to do. Everybody thinks they were this is the best part, right? Is like being like an emo elitist. Everybody thinks they were emo because they listened to songs that made them feel sad. Like I do vomit every time someone calls Panic at the Disco emo, and stuff like that.
is
But
is
I think it's
Dashboard Confessional emo?
Dashboard's
That's what I think
definitely
of.
emo.
Okay.
Definitely not my flavor of emo.
Yeah.
But I think our generation, and it's like a weird tweener, like, you know, it's you've got two different generations kind of mixing in there that enjoyed it. But you've got like the nostalgia era is coming back and making it cool
Yeah.
because I think the music that's coming out of it, the new stuff, is actually good. Whereas like the hair metal that came back 20 years later, like those albums suck and no one likes them. They all just go for the old stuff. The new albums coming out of this, like the new EP that Yellow Card dropped, the new album that Story of the Year dropped the last 2 years, are like legitimately really good. And I think that's different. Is like it's evolved because you know it's not like emotional music in and of itself is not bad.
Right.
Yeah, is it Born or is it Osborne?
So my lean is Born, but I could be
That's
convinced. I've drafted a lot more Born. So if you prefer Osborne, I'm totally happy to spread out my exposure there.
I think I worry about Kendrick Bourne's age coming off ACL, and I worry that Pop Douglas and him kind of overlap. Whereas Osborne operates better out of the slot, but they probably signed him to be an outside guy. So I don't like either, But if I'm going to make a bet, I'd rather not make a bet on an old meh profile coming off an ACL. I'd rather make a bet that he gets superseded by Osborne or the rookies.
Yep.
You know,
Okay.
I don't want to beat myself this early on.
Yeah, yeah.
Because his contract also indicates like it was a 1 year plus fluff, like minimum. I think like his guaranteed money this year is like sub 6 million or something. So I worry he's an easy cut candidate if he's not progressing well enough at whatever it was like 28 or whatever. Otherwise, yeah, he was really good. I just worry about. I mean, we just did this with Tim Patrick too. When you tear an ACL, you have a 20% increased likelihood of your compensation tear of your other ACL.
Interesting. All right.
And I worry about that. I mean, it happened to Deshaun Watson, notably, in camp. So I worry about that. And so it's like late round, that just feels like a much more empty calorie pick. And if I'm going to take an empty calorie pick, I'd like him to at least be able to like make some noise in camp.
Yep.
And we don't know what system the Patriots are going to run, but we know that historically veterans have an easier time picking it up. And if we have a lot of rookies, maybe Osborne, it's an open backfield. So I'd rather take shots on guys that can like pick up the offense quickly.
Bindle says, "Isn't Sack in on Osborne?" I was not aware that Sack.
That would be news to me.
But yeah, seems like the kind of guy. I mean, Sack just loves his like unexciting picks. He's like, that guy is so not sexy. I want to take him with his
Right.
Noah Fant, and yeah. So maybe it wouldn't surprise me if Sack. I don't think Sack is here any longer. MVS, did he get signed right by where did he go? He just went somewhere.
Buffalo.
Yeah. Are we
Yeah,
concerned about that at all?
What he and Claypool get to compete for the empty calorie
Yeah.
vertical
Exactly.
decoy route.
Yeah.
I think MVS is bad for Claypool because MVS can act like MVS consistently is the guy trusted to block and run routes and be the like empty calorie decoy vertical route guy. So I think, and there's not a lot of guys on that offense that like in that room right now that can be that guy.
Yeah.
So I think MVS is probably the favorite to be that like Gabe Davis acolyte replacement because Claypool overlaps a lot with Keon and Curtis, as like possession yak guys.
Yep.
So I think that's it. I think MVS just cut Claypool just 3 months in advance.
Nick says MVS is bad for Claypool. Let's go, baby! It's full touch grass season. Yeah, absolutely. We are in the weeds here. We are in.
You're
the
not
weeds.
wrong. Yeah.
Tyler, we should look at our team, and I know you have to go after this draft. So let's look at our team. I don't know if anybody else was here. I assume Humble Legend is here because he was sniping us.
Yeah, there's names I recall. I don't know if anybody's in chat.
All right. Well, let's start by just reviewing our team, and if anybody else wants their teams shout it out, we can read them off. So we got Kyler Murray, Drake May, Russell Wilson as our quarterbacks. At running back, we have Bijan Robinson, Trey Benson, Brian Robinson, Tyjae Spears, Tyrone Tracy. At wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Malik Neighbors, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Dontavian Wicks, Jermaine Burton, Roman Wilson, KJ Osborne. And at tight end, we have Trey McBride and George Kittle. How do you feel about this team?
It's definitely interesting, and I'm sure you feel this way too. It's different than some of the teams I've built.
Yeah.
But I think we protected ourselves by at least making sure like the top percentile of our room was good and exciting. And if we mix in a little bit of ugly, so be it. But I think it came together well, despite it being kind of a tough room to navigate for the next quarterbacks. I mean, and that's what you run the risk of pushing every once in a while.
Yeah.
I
think that we ran into not a room that everything fell to us. Like every quarterback that we pushed, we got sniped on it. So it was like we kind of got locked out of some of the stacks that we had been building. But at the end of the day, I feel like we landed it pretty well.
Hey, when you can come away with each quarterback stacked up, and we hinted at the skinny stack stuff. We never really
we didn't really dive in. Do you want to finish your thought there?
Yeah, you know what? Let me finish the thought before I bounce here. I think the value of skinny stacks has been shown out in the last few winners of BBM and a few of these other tournaments, because you're building a lot of teams, and so the teams we've seen are these teams that can navigate the chalk stacks, like last year, for instance, and then Pat's team as well. Like, and I know some of the caveats, blah blah blah. Well, there are caveats every year.
Yeah.
Yes, the Bengals Buffalo game got canceled, but then last year you saw half the quarterbacks go down before
Right.
week 7.
Yeah.
So uh, chaos is a thing. You know what navigates chaos through 3 different playoff weeks and also in the finals? Um, Not team onslaughts. Especially as ADPs get sharper. I think the way to navigate it best is to have multiple outs. And that's where skinny stacks become important because we've seen entire offenses have down games, and we've also seen offenses consolidate and concentrate on a few players. So I think when it comes down to that, I think that's where skinny stacks help. Is it skinny stacks give you the availability of that upper ceiling from the combo correlation without severely decapitating your floor, which is important in these pods when you're navigating. And in the finals, you're likely to have a lot of similar stacks as other people, but a skinny stack you might be one of a few people with that skinny stack, but also, Zach's been talking about this diversification. Well, within your team, there's diversification because players, I think you've got 2 types of people that don't respect stacks at all, and people like us that tend to, like, in a pinch, just stack them up. And we end up having these double, triple, quadruple stacks. And we're,
Yeah.
screenshot equity for onslaughts and mega stacks they feel good. You get a lot of good, but you're going to see that more often, I think, in those situations where, like, guys are cheap. It's easier to build those things out. So I think skinny stack is that, like, middle ground that more people are not comfortable only getting one, but it also forces you to maybe change up how that roster is. And so by us, and we kind of we saw a roster come from that where we've got every quarterback is stacked up, and it's not like our favorite. I mean, most of my New England stacks have like Javon Baker or Polk or
Yeah.
Henry. Well, this is the first New England stack where I have a disgusting wide receiver who is probably going to run routes and play. This is like the Robert Woods play, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, and at this point in the season, I think worst case scenario, you want to have every quarterback stacked, and it's probably prudent to keep it slim to allow yourself to build out different types of teams around these stacks. And,
Sure.
if the offenses to attack, quarterbacks to target, if every single one of my Kyler teams has, McBride and Marv, and he has a game where it's 2 rushing touchdowns for Kyler and a rushing touchdown or receiving touchdown from Benson or Connor, I'm in the playoffs. My Marv McBride teams might be dead because I don't have enough juice at those positions that I allocated top capital to,
Sure.
versus whatever. So I think it's just about navigating variance. And I think the skinny stacks have proven time and time again, hey, you don't have to be perfect, but allows you to get it closest to perfect because the rest of your pieces can, like, play and hit when they need to hit without you having to be completely right on the entire game. Also, by skinny stacking, you allow bringbacks, and the bringback thing has
True.
been overvalued in best ball, except for, like, bringbacks on your quarterback. So I think, sacrificing a double stack for a quarterback allows you to get a bringback for that quarterback, and we've seen that hit the last couple times in a really big way. So it's just another puzzle piece that allows you to. I think it truly makes you think through the rest of your draft. And when you're doing as much volume as we are, I think that's crucial to driving some of your, like, really thinking your finals like through as like a single slate.
Yeah. No, I mean, you just made a very, very compelling case. To me, as somebody who is a big proponent of double stacking, so you definitely make a compelling case. And yeah, our team here, it's kind of nice that we did do a skinny stack. All 3 of our quarterbacks have just one pass catcher with them. We did get I guess that, if you include Trey Benson in the stack with
Right.
Kyler,
Yeah.
double stack, like if you
He's a less
include everybody.
traditional stacking
Yeah.
partner, though. Yeah.
My counterpoint would be we have a small sample size of teams that have won. Like we
For
only
sure.
have 4 winners. And also I think the vast majority of teams in the contest are not stacking that much, like are not doing huge stacks. I might be wrong about that. So that's I might be just totally talking up my ass there, but that's my impression, is that most people are not really trying to overstack. So it's just like by sheer volume, it's likely to be a skinnier stack that is going to win. I don't know. I go back and forth. You made a very compelling case. I've heard other very smart people also make similar case or make a case for the skinny stacks. I know Bime 4 is very much in on like don't overstack. I always come back to like, well, you only have 8 players scoring in your lineup of 18 on your roster, so you can like
Yeah.
you can make a bet on like take 3 New England receivers if you're betting on the New England offense. Take 3 of those receivers. You don't
Yeah.
need all 3 of them to hit. You only need one of them. But that's also that's at the end of the draft. So I think that your
Yeah.
point is
Price.
best made for like
Yeah.
the early picks, like the if you like not overstacking the Miami, which I keep doing, by the way. I keep overstacking Miami, but I get it. It's the point is that is the best point for early stacks.
Yeah.
Would you agree
I
with
think
that?
oh yeah. And so I talked to Tom about this over on the Fantasy Sanctuary that I think everything comes down to price.
Yep.
And that's it. Overstacking Houston's a huge opportunity cost this year because you've
Yep.
got the top 3 pass catchers going in the top 50 picks. And the only way that pays off is if that entire offense goes like Peyton Manning, Broncos, type of thing, which is in the upper range of outcomes, but is it the likeliest outcome? And that's where it's hard. Whereas, yeah, you mentioned like triple stacking at the end of the draft with a bunch of guys, and Sack and Pat, and we've seen this every season. And one of the skeleton keys is being able to stack up entire offenses that are undervalued,
Yep.
that overperform. Seattle and Tampa Bay the last 2 years. If you stacked up those entire offenses, you ate like triple stacking those quarterbacks because of how much they overperformed. But if you triple stacked, say
Cincinnati, Miami.
or like even if you triple stacked it like Miami, that was awesome until that entire offense didn't score a single touchdown when it mattered, right?
Yep.
So and at that point, it just becomes a risk tolerance thing.
Right.
Do you want to bet that this team doesn't shit the bed the last week, or do you want to give yourself outs? And if this team hits, you probably won, and if it doesn't hit, you're outside the top 200. Like it's as Ricky Bobby says, if you ain't first, you're last. So I think
Very
stacking, end of the day, I'd rather overstack than have no stacks. But I think when I'm trying to make myself think through how my roster is constructed, making sure I at least have a skinny stack, and if overstacking keeps me from having all of my quarterbacks having an out, that's tough. And I think skinny stack is only really prudent if you're doing 3 quarterback, which I think people are probably going to be too heavy on overreacting to last year's injuries. Right. So I think there's probably going to be an edge in, hey, I'm not going to get scared of taking just 2 quarterbacks and making sure these guys are really stacked up. And if they hit in a big way. Awesome. So it'll be really fun to try to like out chess the field, because I think we're already seeing, hey, shit, I don't want to be just with Drake May, blah, blah, blah. But I think at that point, it's going to be, you're making a bet on the quarterback that you've taken first and who that second guy is, how likely they are to start. Yep. And that just comes down to information. And so maybe it's prudent to do 3 quarterback builds early with less information on some of these rookies like Drake May or the Pittsburgh ambiguous field. Whereas by the end of the drafting season, you probably need to be pushing all in on, 2 quarterbacks on offenses that you really feel good about, unless you get sniped. And part of the last 2 of those BBM winners we've talked about was just like, guys getting sniped and they just already had guys on their roster. So it's a fun puzzle, man. There's so many ways to win it.
And I love that we have not solved this. Like, we can have this conversation and we don't know which one of us is right, and we're not probably going to know for a while. So we can have a conversation and have different opinions on it. And it's also good because I hear your perspective. Then I'm like, well, maybe I should do some more skinny stacks. So then I build in more of those skinny stacks into my repertoire then, as opposed to just doing like what my instinct tells me to do, and gives you kind of a different portfolio of like, I'll overstack in some, I'll do skinny stacks.
Right.
I'm probably nobody's going to convince me to not stack. That's probably not going to happen to me. But yeah, I like the portfolio.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing for the portfolio, because the second you're not onslaughting an entire offense, you have to start thinking about like who you're actually adding to your team.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can't just keep making the same team 100, just a shittier version of that first team 150 times. And I was definitely guilty of that. Doing well over 500 drafts last year. I saw a lot of the same types of teams, and I'm like, man. And I was big on Puka and Kyron in like June, And some of that edge was lost just because I just so heavily concentrated on like a few teams that blew up.
Oh no.
From like quarterback,
Yep.
Geno and Dimes were two of my like most drafted but most paired. And so this year I'm like, hey, and I'm already catching myself like, ooh, a Kyler team, matches really well with Washington, like pockets wise.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, take a few different players that you're going to definitely skinny stack, and then at least gives you different combos of the players you like, so you don't have the same damn team over and over again. And sharp rooms help drive that too, right?
Yeah.
Like Pete was super diversified because they're taking guys he likes and then shifting around. And so, it's going to be a fun drafting season because we've got more people drafting than ever that have access to better information than ever.
Yep. No, definitely true. Tyler, this was so much fun. Really, really enjoyed this conversation. And as we talked about before the stream, Tyler's timing works out great with my timing when he is able to draft. So hopefully Tyler will be a staple on this channel. Come on as a regular guest would be a lot of fun because I really love the conversation. Had a great
Oh yeah.
time here. But in the meantime, where can people find you? What are you up to?
So we've mentioned a couple times, but come over to the Fantasy Sanctuary, where Tom and I draft Best Ball Mania every Monday afternoon. Our new time right now is going to be 5 Eastern, or 6 Eastern, 5 Central. And then aside from that, Tom and Rich do just a ton of DK Best Ball. We just had Eric Bimefor on from Spike Week talk through Dynasty redraft. Tip videos, just tons of really good stuff. They've been cranking out a bunch of stuff. So I'm pretty much the pretty emo face that comes in and gives them access to
You bring the
Underdog.
ladies. You bring the ladies to the show.
Hey, yeah. My emo brings all the ladies to the yard. So
That's right.
come check us out every Monday, and then check out all the DK streams. There's gonna be drafter streams. We just hit 2K, so come like, come sub, come leave comments. I've got a lot of fun ideas coming for like some marathon streams. I've told people if they get a video on Fantasy Sanctuary to 100 likes, a full emo with bangs, eyeliner,
Ooh,
cowboy hat,
all
like
right.
it's
We got to
going
do it, guys.
live for live.
Love
So
it.
so come join us over that. Otherwise, yeah, I'm emo __ cowboy on Twitter. Come talk shop, come shit post. Also, guys, like and subscribe to Neil. Neil's doing awesome stuff. He's going to be grinding his nub down to an absolute nothing by the end of the season
Yeah.
if this pace is keeping up. So, like and subscribe, leave comments, help everybody, man. This community growing is the best for everybody.
Appreciate that, Tyler. Really appreciate you coming on. Tyler is going to step off here, hopefully come back on the channel soon, and I will continue drafting here so you guys can continue drafting me. But Tyler, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me on. Catch you later.
Later. All right. It is just me now, and we will do a, let's see, does this work? Yeah, it works. I think that works all right. We can do the this overlay. Let me test out what else. No, this will work. This will work just fine. All right, I am going to do another Best Ball Mania draft. If any of you want to draft with me, it was really fun having Tyler here. But let's continue on. We'll continue doing 2 drafts per stream. So let's get this going. Joining now. It looks like we have plenty of time waiting for this draft to fill. So if you want to get into the draft now. Still have 7 more spots in this one. Debating whether I should tweet this out. In the meantime, if you have not already joined the Flannelverse Discord, you can find that in the description of this video. I have been rating people's drafts. I gave the feedback to Alex here. Just did a draft, put a draft in there that I feel like 11 rookies is too much out of 18 picks. What do you guys think? Is 11 rookies too much? I'm not sure if I'm right about that. That was just my instinct. Is I feel like a lot of those rookies are probably not going to hit until later on in the season. So even if they are smashes later in the year, it's like you're going to be too far behind at that point. But I don't know if I'm right about that. Do you anybody have opinions there? Is 11 rookies out of 18 picks too much? I don't know. That's my instinct. Mr. Mister is overstacking Detroit, he says. I mean, yeah, Detroit could just be a very, very good offense this year. So So I've done some of that. It's also pretty expensive, is the downside for Detroit. It's like, I mean, you got to take a Monra first round. I don't know if you're able to do. You can't really do a Monra. Maybe occasionally you can do a Monra Gibbs Laporta, but it's like you're spending up to really overstack Detroit there. So it's a little bit tough there. Yeah, this is my thinking. If you're taking that many rookies, you're really making a bet that this is a better rookie class than it's really made out to be. I mean, it is like Caleb, very strong. The top three receivers seem to be pretty universally considered very strong. So maybe it is. Maybe it is the best rookie class in the history of Pigskin. I'm not sure. All right. Well, while we're waiting for this to fill, if you guys can go ahead and fill it, I am going to go take a piss break. I'll be right back. Still not full. We are getting there. Slowly but surely. I guess it is May. Like, I'm super surprised that these drafts are not filling up quicker than they are, but also we're drafting in May. So maybe I shouldn't be that surprised. Middle of weekday in May. Yeah, that is true. I mean, that is kind of the if you're taking, the three, and I've done it, I think only once so far. I've done the three Houston receivers. Um, hell yeah, Drew. Is this let's get in there. Are we almost full now? Um, I have done it once. I've done the first 3 rounds taking Houston receivers and then CJ Stroud. Um, I also think like you might be able to push it. Like some people, the worry there is I did it at the end, took it like 12, 13, and then 36, 37 with those picks. I think other people might be able to do it with CMC. If you could do it CMC, then at the turn take Nico and Diggs, then at the next turn take Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, like that would feel a lot better than taking them with your first 4 picks. But it's so fun. I couldn't help myself doing it at least once in one of my slow drafts. Yeah, I mean, I think both. Like, you can make a really strong case for either Brees or Bijan in that spot. Like, both could be just awesome, awesome running backs this year. Yeah. Also, this is the issue. There are so many contests on Underdog right now that not everybody wants to jump into the $25 Best Ball Mania. Use all their Best Ball Manias this early. You only get 150 of them at most, and a lot of people have limited bankroll. Maybe you're playing 10 of them. You want to wait a little bit. So I get it. Not everybody wants to join all of the Best Ball Manias right now, but if you're gonna get 150 of them streamed, you got to get a lot of them out of the way early. So I'm in doing the best ball manias for now. But pretty soon I might start mixing in some of the smaller dollar stuff once I've got a good head start on my 150 streamed. And by the way, I have started grading drafts in the Discord, in the Flaniverse Discord. I think maybe I said that already, but it's link is in the description of this video. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to get these drafts graded. Maybe I'll have to throw some of mine in there, give you some of my drafts to grade also. Because if I'm giving you guys shit, if I'm giving you a C plus grade, then you have to be able to give me a C plus grade too. And certainly some of my drafts, they probably deserve the C grade. I've had some of those for sure. Lundar, good to see you in here. Drew is in here with the first pick. Love to see that for Drew. Mario Solar back. We got a lot of familiar names in here. Where am I? I get the final pick here. I get the 12 hole. Anybody else in chat in this draft? You have to tell me. You have to tell me if you're in the draft with me. That's the law. Got at least a few of us in here. Ooh, go as cards in the chat. Good to see you, Charles. Go AZ cards, I assume that is. Oh, Arizona Cardinals. My mind immediately went to like sports cards. I was thinking that this was like a sports card shop. Go as cards, but go AZ Cardinals. That is actually pretty straightforward. Seeing this more and more, CeeDee Lamb going ahead of McCaffrey. What is your thought process there, Drew? Why are we taking CeeDee Lamb 101? I'm not opposed to it. Because I'm drafting 150, I'm just taking CMC at the 101. If I were only doing like 20 drafts, I would definitely consider taking some CeeDee Lamb 101. But is that a strong preference for you, Drew, or is that just mixing it up? Mr. in the 10 hole, Mario in the 4 hole. Oh yeah, TM. I missed you here. I know that Mr. is TM Longacre. Totally missed that. I feel like I think DSM may have been in a couple of drafts here. T-Loke, I believe this is T-Box's son. I'm just making that up, though. It's not based on anything other than the name. Get the wide receiver run going as usual here. Love it. That's all the reason you need. I got the same piss boy mentality. It's just so much easier if you can get wide receivers early. Take running backs in that huge running back pocket with a lot of good running backs later on. So totally get the piss boy mentality. It makes me nervous drafting against a Go AZ Cards fan here, because now I'm like, well, Marvin Harrison is somebody I'm usually going to take at the turn, but then am I just going to get sniped on? Is Go AZ Cards going to take Trey McBride at pick number 29? And I'm trying to stack up my Cardinals. He's going to take his Kyler at 68, just ruin everything for me. You never know with fans. Okay, T-Loke saves me from taking Marvin Harrison. So it's not my problem. I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to go. Ugh. Don't know if I've done Garrett Wilson, Drake London yet. But I am going to piss all over myself and take Garrett Wilson and Drake London. I don't really know. Oh, it's because it's yellow. That's where the piss boy name comes from. Jim says, I've loved the 12 pick in years past, but not a fan so far this year. I mean, last year it was, you could get CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. So it felt really good last year, but I think I'm with you. It's a little bit less fun this year. I still don't hate it just because, you kind of get some fun players at the end. Like I do think like Garrett Wilson, Drake London, I kind of think are both fun, high upside players. Marvin Harrison, obviously very fun. If AJ Brown ever fell there, that would be fun to build out that Philadelphia. So I don't hate it. Actually, the tougher spot for me is like this range, like the 8 9 7 8 9 kind of range where it's like your second pick is like kind of go Brandon Ayuk again. Like I don't love taking Brandon Ayuk early second round, but I don't really love any of the other picks there. So I kind of like I think I like the 12th pick better still than like the ninth, eighth, ninth picks because it feels pretty gross. I don't feel that strongly about like any of these five being different. I really like the first six picks. I think that's sort of like a tier break for me. CD, McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. To me, there's sort of a minor tier break after that, and then it's like long string of similar players. So I don't hate the 12 hole. I feel like you get two second tier players. Also true. Mr. Mist says we might feel better when the schedule comes out. That is definitely true. Like that'll change, shake things up a little bit. How we're feeling about these picks. Yeah, I mean, if you're dedicated to fading Garrett Wilson and Saquon Barkley, it's a little bit tougher to draft at the end. I'm not taking any of those hard stands personally. I'm not taking a ton of Saquon Barkley, but also not trying to take zero either. Yeah, this is exactly like I don't know. It's it's tough this year. Like they're and I think it happens every year where it's like you kind of figure out what you like as you go. But right now it's like if you're drafting according to ADP, there's not that many spots where I feel that great about it. Maybe I just start. I mean, why can't you reach and take Lamar and I guess you don't really need to. I was going to take Lamar in the second round, but like I guess you don't want to do it because you can get Lamar and Andrews at the 4-5 turn, and then it's like you're just playing from behind if you take them at the 2-3 turn. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to find different ways because we don't always love the players falling to us at ADP. Trying to find different ways to kind of mix it up, live a little, reach a little. But I've been doing more of that in my like puppy drafts where it's more experimental for me. Don't have 25 bucks on the line. Maybe down the line I'll experiment more in these BBMs. So far I've been pretty close to ADP a lot of the time. Yeah, I mean here's fully loaded is mixing it up a little bit, which I'm totally fine with. It goes McCaffrey, goes Devonta Smith in the second round. Like there's nothing wrong with that reach. Like do you feel much better about Nico Collins or Stephon Diggs than Devonta Smith? Like I don't feel like any of these players are like smash. You have to take them over Devonta Smith. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did, other than now I can't take him if I were going to do a Jalen Hurts Devonta Smith stack. So that's the downside. But yeah, I think that's a totally fine pick. Nothing wrong with reaching a little there. I was kind of hoping to take Josh Allen there. But here's a spot where I could just do. Here's what I'm going to do. I think this is kind of fun. Kelsey Mahomes, get an elite tight end, get an elite quarterback. Now, it doesn't feel great taking Mahomes over Hurts and Lamar Jackson for me. That is the downside there, but you're really not giving up that much in projection. And I want to make a bet on this Chiefs offense. And based on ADP, it lines up pretty well with like I should be able to get one of and possibly both of Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown. And then, the next turn at this point, I might be able to get Rashee Rice. So it's one of those, like, I don't know if it's the best projected team here, taking Mahomes and Kelsey there at a reach, but I also wouldn't be that shocked to see them move up in ADP. So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking Kelsey and Mahomes here. And I think that it's kind of a fun, sort of unique way to build right now because you're taking both of them a little bit ahead of ADP, whereas people like a lot of people will be like, I'll take one player out of ADP, but I'm not taking the full stack out of ADP. So I have no issue doing that. Yeah, I think I'm like a lot of the time I'm doing this too, Charles, just sticking to ADP early on, mix it up later on to get your stacks. Make sure you get your positions where you want them all, but usually I'm sticking pretty close to ADP early on. I have done. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever taken more than two running backs in the first 5 rounds. Maybe I've done three once or twice, but for the most part, no, I haven't done a ton of robust RB. I forget what the actual definition is of robust RB. I think I've done two running backs in the first 2 rounds here and there. I haven't done a ton of that. So if that qualifies, then I guess I've done that. Yeah, I kind of agree with this. CLN says, I feel like we could be mind wiped and reorder picks 16 to 36, and we would be in the same spot where it just feels stale. Yeah, that is true. Like, it's just like all those picks feel pretty similar. So it's, get your guys. Yeah, Lundar says, I've been grabbing them early too, talking about Mahomes and Kelsey. If KC has a great week 17 matchup, they'll fly up. Yeah, that is likely true. Yep, and I think I do want to make a bet on the KC offense. I think that it's gonna get back to its vintage ways here. For a second there, I thought that I was on the clock. See, this could have worked out really well if Fully Loaded had let the tank Dell. We talked. This is exactly what I was talking about early on in the stream. Drew almost got the not with CMC. He started with CD Lamb, but could have got the full Houston onslaught. I don't know if that's what we wanted to do anyway. There, not the end of the world to get an elite tight end there. Also, but Drew, would you have taken Stroud and Dell here if they had come to you? Because I probably would have. Just again, going back to my overstacking mentality and just like a sort of a unique build, I probably would have done it with the opportunity, but also to not have that opportunity, like, it could just be saving you from yourself if that is your intention. Yeah, that is true. Dion says if second and third round picks weren't stale, they would be first rounders. But there's also, only so many players that can be first rounders. So some years you feel better about those second round picks. Like some years you'll get second round picks where your 17th best player feels similar to your fifth player, and it's because they are all just smashes, and there's one large tier. At least theoretically, I'm trying to remember if we've actually seen that. I mean, it kind of feels like it last year to some extent with, like I said, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb at the end of the second round. Um, Forgetting who else is going there. But maybe I'm also being like retrospective. I don't know that we felt as good about those picks at the time before CeeDee Lamb was the best wide receiver last year. So maybe I'm hindsighting a little bit too much in saying that those were really good picks last year. Well, glad I got Kelsey because we did get a run on elite tight ends, McBride, Kincaid, Mark Andrews. I guess all going about ADP anyway. But feel good having Kelsey there. Pickens, a guy that I have taken very little of. How do you guys feel about Pickens? Am I missing out? I took him this morning, got a share of Pickens, but I've been largely not taking a ton of Pickens. All right, did I get? Yeah, I got two. So if I want to make a full bet on Kansas City, and I think that's what I'm going to do, I could throw Kyle Pitts on here with my Drake London stack. Would be the other thing to consider, but I think I'm just going to do it. Bet on Worthy, Brown again. I'm the overstacker right now. Maybe I'll have to do some more where I'm not doing it, but I also like a lot of times you can't overstack. So here it's like, okay, I have the opportunity. There's going to be plenty of times where I try this, taking Kelsey Mahomes, and somebody takes Worthy. So it's kind of just like, all right, the room's allowing me to overstack a little bit past ADP with Worthy. So I'll do it here. Maybe the next time I try to do this, I won't have the opportunity with Worthy. So I kind of let sometimes the room dictate, like, am I skinny stacking or full on stacking? So I say that I like to overstack, but it's like, that is my intention. I go in wanting to have 3 pass catchers with my quarterback, or like 2 pass catchers and a running back, whatever. But then sometimes it's kind of like the room doesn't always allow it. So even though I go in with that intention, I sometimes just end in with some skinny stacks anyway. Yeah, I think I remember that. Felt great in 2022 and then didn't really. Yeah, Drew, it would have been fun. That's definitely a fun. So if you can get CD Lamb, then all three of the Houston receivers with CJ Stroud, like it's at the very least high. I would think pretty high floor. I don't. Maybe that's not true. Maybe he spreads it out so much that none of them really get there. But I would think that's a pretty high floor stack. And even if one of them ends up like you sacrifice it, take two of them being elite because one of them gets hurt or something, like that might be okay when you have CD Lamb as your start. D. Owen says, if you aren't a 150 maxer, you should always take the Texas onslaught there, as with randomness and picks and draft order odds are you could never get it again. Yeah. And I think even as a 150 max, like how many opportunities are you going to get to get all three of the pass catchers plus CJ Stroud without taking one of them in the first round? Like getting an elite first round pick and then also getting all three of those. Like I think that's going to be pretty rare. Agree with this seal. Pickett feels overpriced to me. Okay, we're all seemingly on the same page here. Yeah, Drew says that you can definitely see Kelsey rising. I agree. I feel like I'm less in on Kelsey than a lot of sharp people are, and it's not that I'm not that I'm opposed to Kelsey. I don't think that he is like being massively undervalued where he goes. It's not that I like am fully out on Kelsey. I get the points for it. I think that this ADP where he's going just kind of bakes in the risk with Kelsey, which is that they're just not going to be playing him full time in a full time role during the regular season. That they are just going to like save him somewhat for the playoffs, and we're not going to benefit from that. So that is the risk with Kelsey. I think that the ADP kind of bakes in that risk. So I kind of think that his ADP is about where it should be. But it's fun I mean, I made the bet on Kelsey. You're making the bet on the KC offense. I'm probably going to get more of him as I do this a little bit more going forward. It's I think that there is some risk there, and then also just the onslaught of these tight ends that follow him. I like so much. Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews. I'm really in on Kyle Pitts this year. George Kittle, we know, has the spike week upside. Evan Ingram was great last year. Kind of want to make a bet on the Jacksonville offense. So it's kind of like I've heard some people be like, wow, how are we getting Kelsey so late? This is crazy. And I understand that perspective. But to me, it's like he's kind of fairly priced for his, I don't know, for the full draft situation and the risk involved there, I think. It's just how I view the situation. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe he is being undervalued. Interesting. Benjamin says, been going through all the BBM4 finals data, and I'm through the top 200 teams with zero RB slash running back start. So zero double running back to start. I'm starting to think Pat's team was an anomaly rather than a strategy to bet on. And I think Pat would probably tell you that too. I don't think Pat's doing like a million like running back starts either. I think he's generally a piss boy also. Yeah, and I think that is correct. I think it's tough to build around. Oh shit, I'm on the clock, aren't I? Do I just keep building it out? This is where it's like, man, do I really want to keep building out this Kansas City offense? Can they all hit? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna live a little. I'm gonna take my guy Rashee Rice. Now I'm gonna throw on a running back, I think. Yeah. Haven't got a lot of Zamir White recently. I drafted a lot of him in the the big board pre-draft stuff. So I haven't felt compelled to like reach for him here. I think he's fine. I think he's going a little bit earlier than he should be. I think Bindles and I talk about this. Like I sort of feel like Zamir White is a similar bet to Devin Singletary. So I'm just taking Singletary later. Like I don't think he's a super special talent. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's a super special talent. So just betting on later running backs in a similar situation. Yes, sir. Rashee Rice. We get the entire Kansas City stack, minus Pacheco, I guess, but kind of have to reach if you want to add Pacheco to the stack. So Hoosier Devo asked, this morning I drafted a team with 4 Bills, 4 Dolphins, and 4 Bears. Is that overstacking? kind of depends when you drafted them, but with those three teams, I don't think you probably got like all of them in the early rounds. So my opinion would be no. Tyler might have disagreed with me. Maybe people in chat disagree with me, but I am a proponent of overstacking, particularly with good offenses like the Bills, the Dolphins, possibly the Bears also. So yeah, no issue with that for me. But again, I am an overstacking proponent. I know that there are other people who disagree with that. That's fun. KC quad stack with Brees, like that. Benjamin, are you talking about Mahomes or sorry, Kelsey open at 44? I assume. Yeah, that is nuts. Kelsey going at 25 on DK. Maybe not nuts. I guess that's an overstatement. I think that is totally fine to go at 25. It just seems odd coming from underdog to see him that high, but it is PPR. Maybe it's a little bit more valuable in PPR. Yeah, I agree with this, Charles. That better for Pickens if Russ Wilson starts all year. That is definitely the case. In a vacuum, I think I lean toward taking Fields over Russell Wilson when both are available. I tend to take Fields. Um, I think it's a better stack with Russell Wilson. I just like to me if you knew who like one of them is going to start all year. Russell Wilson probably at that point is a 160th pick. I bet he's going around where Baker Mayfield goes would be Russell Wilson. If you knew that Fields was starting all year, he is going probably where Kyler goes. So I'm just going to bet on the guy who has that atomic upside. So I'd rather bet on like if you knew he's starting for the playoffs, yeah, give me Fields. I'd rather have Fields there. But I think both are um, like if you take out the risk, either of them would be an awesome last round pick. Like they both have huge upside for where they're going in drafts. It's just there is a ton of risk associated with both of them because we just don't know who's going to be starting and when, and that is very important. So I like Fields as like a third quarterback when my quarterback room's a little bit light. Just like I'll throw in a rushing quarterback late. I prefer to have a stack. I always prefer to have stacks, but he is. I think I agree with the statement that you don't necessarily need to always stack him. If you just want to throw him on as a last round dart throw, shore up your quarterback room, I think that's fine. Yeah, definitely some risk with the quarterbacks this year, which kind of makes me more inclined to take earlier quarterbacks because I think there is so much risk with them. I have not. I don't think I'm not going to be doing Kadarius Toney in this one, Mister, because I got all of the pass catchers like that you want. That's more of a like, oh shit, I missed out on all of the Kansas City receivers. I guess now I'll try Kadarius Toney, but I'm not. When I already have three Kansas City receivers, I'm going to be skipping on Kadarius Toney in this one. Probably also CEH. I guess I could throw him in here. But probably I'm done with my Kansas City guys. I think I'm like I have the offense that you want right now. I have all of the good. Okay, just kidding. Yeah, no, yeah. I guess that is kind of the theme of the day is that Neil is just going to take all of the stack that he can get. We are on the clock. I missed that it was my turn, but I'm okay with Javonte. I'm kind of getting away from it a little bit, the Javonte. Not my favorite pick there. I do like Rashid Shaheed, but I'm a little bit light at running back. So maybe I do like Singletary. As I said, I like Singletary to me is Zamir White just 2 rounds later. So happy to take Singletary with that pick. Javonte Williams, I do think there's risk there. Like I have heard like kind of the rumblings coming out. I know Sam came out and with a quote from the team, and I think I kind of buy it that like I don't think it's a sure thing that Javonte Williams gets a ton of touches there, and I have more Javonte Williams than I am comfortable with. Like I don't have a ton of Javonte Williams, but like I have enough Javonte Williams that I don't feel like I need to be forcing it. So in general, I think that I probably would have skipped Javonte Williams with that pick, in part because I'd rather just make the bet on Jaleel McLaughlin later. I think that is going to be a theme. If you check in on my streams regularly, you know that I have been a Dontavian Wicks truther to this point. I think Jaleel McLaughlin might be another one of those names that you hear me saying too much to prove to you that I have player takes. Jaleel McLaughlin, that is a player take that I have. Is just he's going too late for a guy who I think is, I don't know, 40% chance to be the starting running back in Denver and also has a lot of talent. Like he showed how much talent he has last year. Maybe 40% is a little bit high, but I do think that he has a legit chance to be the starting running back in Denver. And he showed some talent last year. So I think Jaleel McLaughlin is going to be one of my player takes this year, which is why I'm leaning a little bit away from Javonte Williams. But again, I'm a spread out your exposures guy also, so I'm okay with getting Javonte in this one at maybe even a little bit past ADP because he still might just be the guy there. So gotta mix up your bags a little bit. Gus Edwards, I think David Zach did a thread, maybe just a post today about how he thinks Gus Edwards is undervalued, and I agree with him. I'm still in on Gus Edwards. I know a lot of people are not really excited about the Gus Edwards pick, but I still think he's like the odds-on favorite to be the starting running back on a run first good offense. So very much in there also. Yeah, and I mean Fields also made Cole Kmet happen. Cole Kmet was really good with Fields. So maybe throw in a Fryermuth here or there with your field stacks. Oh yeah, Ben made that point also. Not sure that he really funnels to one receiver because Komet was also, um, yeah. I like the Fields bet a little bit. Hoosier starting to draft with the intention of ending with MVS. I'm out. I'm out. I've done the MVS thing too many times. At this point, that would be a like, okay, I've got Josh Allen. I need somebody. I'll take MVS there. All right, where are we at? Coming back around. Okay, not my pick yet. Best BBM is a Lamb, Diggs, Collins, Schultz with an AR and AD Mitchell stack at 20 picks pass. So did you get CJ Stroud in that one? You have Diggs, Collins, and Schultz. Would hope that you also have CJ Stroud. Oh no, Pete is estimate build. I'm just estimate to me like he's probably the goal line back, but not even guaranteed to be the goal line back. Um, does he? Do we think he has the upside? Like I think the difference for me is Jaleel McLaughlin to me has the upside to be the bell cow. Like he could just be like he's your first, second down back. He might just be a third down back. Like he also has that. But I think that it's likelier that we see Jaleel McLaughlin as the bell cow than Audric Estime. Audric Estime, I think he was a guy that Spags was really on early on, right? Like Spags loved him prior to the combine, and I think he didn't completely go away from it after the combine either. Um, so I drafted a lot of him in pre-draft stuff, and now I've gone away from it a little bit. But I've also always sort of been in on Jaleel McLaughlin, so maybe I'm just doubling down on what I already wanted to be in on. All right, so we have three running backs. Kind of want to do a Blake Corum, throw him on here, and then you know that my guy Wicks. It's hard for me to pass up on Wicks. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody else I need to take here. Is Kirk here? I guess I could do Kirk. Corum. I've drafted so much Wicks, and I already have 5 receivers on this team. Oh, we also have Aaron Rodgers out later. Those are literally my only stacks right now, though. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna do Kirk. I have so much Dontavian Wicks already. We know I'm in on it, but and he's not going to come. He's probably not going to come back around on a stream draft where everybody else knows how in on Wix I am. He actually he theoretically could. I've seen him fall to the next turn, but I think he's moving up a little bit. I think enough streamers are very in on Wix at this point that not really get him to fall as much. But can't take him every draft, right? Sometimes have to just draft what comes to you. Yeah, it was fun having Emo on. It was good draft we had, good conversation. He'll I'm pretty sure he's going to be sounded like he's willing to come back on, so hopefully he'll be a regular guest. As I said, I'm trying to work on regular guests, and I've reached out to some new guests, but if I can get on, Bindles regularly, would love that. Would love having Emo Cowboy back. Plenty of good streaming partners for here. So hopefully I'll be having a lot more guests on the channel going forward. Don't want to waste all my drafts on just solo streams. It's fun sometimes just because on solo streams I can just take who I want all the time instead of having to have the conversation. But generally, it's a better time for me, and I think for the audience, if I can have people on the streams, I really always enjoy just having these conversations because there's just a lot of people that I respect in the space, and they all kind of bring different perspectives. So it's good to hear from other people, not just take the guys I want all the time. I am working under the assumption that P. Ryan isn't still a thing, that he's going to get cut, but it's definitely not a sure thing. Yeah, good point. Fryermuth, you got to take Darnell Washington because of Arthur Smith. Take the backup. Ben, what do you think are the 3 best locations for Javonte? I haven't really thought through who he would be traded to if he were traded. I do think this is fair, Benjamin, but I guess I'm also just I'm making the bet on Bo Nix being pretty good. Sean Payton just going to figure it out. As much as I'm not a huge Sean Payton fan, I still think it's fairly likely that he figures it out. I think that it's fairly likely that Bo Nix is actually pretty good rookie quarterback. So I'm just kind of betting on the offense there in Denver, kind of figuring out being better this year. But again, not doing it in every draft, just doing it here and there. This is Pete did. Pete had to talk about Estime versus Jaleel. Interesting. I think I missed that one. But I'm Team Jaleel. I'm Team Jaleel. Saying it now. Allen got taken, so I pivoted to Kincaid. Josh Allen got taken, or Keenan Allen? You were going to do a Bears stack? I feel like I'm lost now. Yeah, that is the downside to Jaleel, is that he is a little bit small. But Sean Payton has a history of just liking those small running backs and kind of making them work. So even if he's not a true bell cow, just I guess I just mean having a good enough role to really pay off his ADP in a big way. All right. So I could go, do I draft a fullback here as my second tight end since I already have Kelsey? Now I can go a little bit less safe with my second tight end. Oh, Aaron Rodgers did fall here. So now I'm a little bit regretting that I took Kirk Cousins there because I would have preferred letting Rodgers fall all the way to me. But I don't care that much. I'm going to go Sinnott. And then, so I'm very much in on Burton, but I do think I want to mix in Roman Wilson a little bit more. I know Nez is big on Roman Wilson. I've heard other people. I think Hayden Winks was also very much in on Roman Wilson. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Roman Wilson here over Jermaine Burton because I already have plenty of Burton. So getting some different exposures here. I kind of like the way this team is coming together. Only a single stack with Kirk. I guess I don't know if there's somebody else I could have No, it doesn't look like Darnell Mooney is available here. It's possible that I overstacked the Chiefs, but I'm just betting on that offense being good. I think it could work. Okay, Ben, you're saying Javonte could go to the Chiefs, the Chargers, or I mean, yeah, all those would be amazing for Javonte Williams. Could you imagine the way he would fly up boards if he goes to one of those spots? I think probably the best would be the Cowboys. Like I feel like the Chiefs, he would still be playing behind Pacheco. Chargers, I think it would be a little bit muddled. It wouldn't be clear to me that he was the RB1. For the Cowboys, I would have to imagine it would be Javonte Williams. Huh. Hell yeah. Bindles coming back on. And of course, Bindles has his own YouTube channel also, which I was on last night. Right, it's Tuesday. Yeah, I'm time is just I've completely lost track of days now. Yeah, last night I was on Bindles' stream. Hopefully we will join each other for a bunch of different best ball drafts. I don't know. I haven't drafted any Eric All yet. Dion says you should be taking Eric All in the 18th round in case he's the next Iowa tight end to hit, or wait until camp news. Bindles and I gave a poor draft grade to somebody who took Eric All among his 3 tight ends because I think he's recovering from injury, might not be ready to go for a while. But I think it like in a 3 tight end room where you have at least one semi-safe tight end and you have Joe Burrow, maybe that makes sense to take Eric All. Not sure how much I'm going to get there. Yeah, I'm torn on this. Dio says, hot take, Bo Nix will be the best quarterback out of this class. I'm so torn because I don't like Sean Payton, as I've said many times. I really like him. I want Sean Payton to fail. I don't want to cheer against like a rookie quarterback. I got nothing against Bo Nix, and also I'm drafting a ton of Bo Nix. So like somehow I want Bo Nix to be great and Sean Payton also to fail. So I guess best case scenario, Bo Nix is really good this year, but like on a bad team that barely misses the playoffs, and then Sean Payton retires, and then Bo Nix becomes a Hall of Famer. That's what I'm cheering for. That's the ultimate outcome that I want here. Roman Wilson does seem to be picking up some steam, as Travis says. As I said, Nez talked about him. I heard Hayden Winks talking about him. So yeah, I think you're right. That got to get him now. So I've taken him twice today now, getting a little bit of exposure to Roman Wilson as the potential wide receiver 2 for Pittsburgh. Maybe he's the guy who can separate a little bit more. That's the thing with George Pickens. Like he's good at mossing people, not really good at separating. Maybe Roman Wilson can create some separation. All right, we got 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 receivers, 2 tight ends here. I think this is going well. Like I think it's nice being balanced here. Like I have pretty good positional allocation here. I would say 4-2, 6-2. I can kind of do just like what comes to me at this point. I am going to take Jaleel McLaughlin, even though I already have Javonte Williams. I don't hate. I'm doing a little bit more hand cucking this year than I have in the past. Man, Aaron Rodgers still here. I kind of feel like I have to, right? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do the 3 quarterback thing on a Mahomes team because that is just, it's too late. Can't be like Aaron Rodgers at pick 181, just taking the value there. And that's I talk about how balanced my team is. That was the one position that I was like, don't really want another quarterback there when you already have Mahomes and Cousins, but also it's not the end of the world to take another quarterback this late in the draft. I kind of think that's the right pick. When I have Garrett Wilson, I've already made a bet on that passing game. I think I kind of had to do it there. I'd already passed on him the previous turn when he was already past ADP. Yeah, I like it. I like the pick. I had to, right? What do you think? Did I have to do it? Oh yeah, that's right. Hoosier, you took Eric All. I haven't used the Spike Week. I think I have access to the Spike Week ranking, so that's another ranking set that I need to start using. I don't know. Did you have Spike Week rankings last year? You probably didn't. I just was not aware of them. I use other features of Spike Week, but I have not used the rankings yet, and I probably should. That's true. He could pull a John Gruden. That would be not that shocking to me if he did. Drew gets the Demario Douglas Drake May at the turn. I like that. You already made the strong bet on the Houston offense, so you go elite quarterback, and then you wait a long time. You also I saw Ramondre Stevenson up there, so you're really making some nice bets there. Doing a little mini Tampa correlation. Like the way your team is coming together, Drew. Haven't looked at everybody's teams here of the people in chat. We'll do that after. But just looking at the picks on the turn, looks like it's coming together. All right, so now I'm definitely not taking any more quarterbacks. Probably would like one more receiver, in part because I did take all three of those Kansas City guys. Like from a bye week perspective, as a certified bye week bro, it's a little bit tough having your only receivers here being Roman Wilson, Drake London, and Garrett Wilson. Let's see. I'm not doing Tyler Boyd. Jalen McMillan. Jalen Hyatt. Oh no, Rondo Moore. I'm going to throw onto my Atlanta stack there. Probably another running back here. My running backs are probably strong enough. I could do it. I could just go to a tight end instead. I'm going to do Keaton Mitchell. Why not? Come on down. That'll do it for my team. Maybe should have got another receiver there. I don't know. I didn't love the receiving options here. It wasn't like anybody fell that I felt super strongly about. I've heard Colby Parkinson seems to be kind of polarizing right now. I forget what stream I was listening to. Might have been ADP chasing, where they were on all sides with Colby Parkinson. I'll go over all these teams, but I'm going to wait for the draft to finish first. Yeah, he did not. Tyler Boyd did not end up where you want him. Thankfully, I have very little exposure to Tyler Boyd. Never thought he was gonna be great this year. Where do we have Roman Wilson in the Spike Week rankings? Because ADP is like what 160-ish. I think that's one of those, like, I might artificially move him down because I'm not usually trying to stack up Pittsburgh, because I'm so, like, I don't really know what to do with the Pittsburgh quarterback. So I tend to be like, I'll take the guys who I know I can stack up later, as opposed to the guy where it's like, if I take him, I still, like, it's 50-50 proposition, like who's going to be the starting quarterback in the playoffs. I don't know if it's really 50-50, but that's kind of how I view it. Like, I have no idea who's going to be starting there in Pittsburgh, so that kind of drives me away from the stack. But still, like, if you don't have Joe Burrow, like, you're not going to get the Cincy quarterback, and I've been taking a lot of Jermaine Burton, so probably flawed thinking there. Maybe I need to move up Roman Wilson in my rankings. Oh. Gonna finish up here, walk the dog. We are doing a late Mother's Day celebration for my mother-in-law tonight, so fun plans tonight. And then after that, going to watch the Timberwolves. I actually don't know what I'm doing. I the guys I usually watch with, I don't think that we've talked about getting together tonight. Last road game ended up just going to a bar with my wife, watching the Timberwolves. It was not fun because they got crushed. All right, my team. Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. At running back, we have Zamir White, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, Blake Corum, Jaleel McLaughlin, Keaton Mitchell. At wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Xavier Worthy, Marquise Brown, Rashee Rice, Roman Wilson, and Rondell Moore. And at tight end, Travis Kelce and Ben Sinnott. So I'm obviously very, very strong at quarterback, probably stronger than I need to be, but just took Aaron Rodgers when he fell to me 33 picks past ADP. So ultimately, I think it was the right move, even though I have overspent at quarterback. At running back, I think I feel okay about it. Like Zamir White being my first pick at 85, and then kind of hammered running back for a while. Zamir White, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, Blake Corum. I think there's enough floor here in the early picks, and then plenty of ceiling in Corum, Jaleel McLaughlin, Keaton Mitchell. Wide receiver, obviously my first 2 picks were wide receivers, and then I just hammered all of the Chiefs wide receivers. So I made the team bet on Kansas City. I think I like having the full Kansas City team bet especially with the the safety of Garrett Wilson and Drake London off of Kansas City, outside of the Kansas City onslaught. I think I feel okay about it. Get a late Roman Wilson relative to the Spike Week rankings. Rondell Moore on the stack. Tight end I think it's fine. Like Travis Kelce, I made the bet on Travis Kelce being Travis Kelce, being one of the top tight ends in the game, and then a fun rookie with upside. I think it's a decent enough tight end room. What do you guys think? Good enough team. I'll take a look at your teams as well now. All right. Who are the wide receivers you'd stack in Pitt? I mean, I haven't drafted a ton of George Pickens, but I think it's George Pickens, Roman Wilson primarily, right? Let's go. Thanks for joining this one, Charles. I'll look at your team also. All right, so we let's see at the top. I'm gonna start with Drew. So Drew at quarterback has C.J. Stroud and Drake May, so gets the early elite quarterback, and then waits on his second quarterback. At running back, he has Ramondre Stevenson, Raheem Mostert, Trey Benson, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd, Bucky Irving. At wide receiver, he has CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall, Pop Douglas, KJ Osborne. And at tight end, Dalton Kincaid, Cade Otton. So just from a positional allocation, I think he did really well. Early and late quarterbacks make sense. 2 quarterback build. Doesn't take a running back until 73, but then similar to mine, just started hammering running backs. I think has pretty solid floor ceiling combo here. Nick Chubb, not a player that I'm in on, but that's kind of a personal bias maybe, and he gets him 14 picks past ADP. So that's if you're going to get your exposure to Nick Chubb, getting him past ADP is probably the way to do it. A couple fun rookie gets 3 rookie running backs here. Really strong receivers, obviously, with CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. Takes a little break for Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, and has full on. Let's see the stack. So we have C.J. Stroud with Nico, Diggs, just those 2, right? And then the full on Drake May with Ramondre Stevenson, and also Pop Douglas, KJ Osborne. I think this is a really strong team. Has some secondary correlation with Cade Otton and Bucky Irving also. I'm sure there's more there that I just didn't see as I was going, but lots of correlation on this team. Really strong positional allocation. I really like the team here for Drew. Lundar was here. Lundar goes Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield at quarterback. I like that. Great positional allocation. Has James Cook, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Dameon Pierce, Will Shipley at running back. At wide receiver, he has Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, Marvin Mims, OBJ. Just all the juniors there at the end. David Njoku and Pat Freiermuth at tight end. So we got Tua with Tyreek Hill. Goes skinny stack there. He has Trevor with Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, and he has Baker with Mike Evans. So relatively skinny stacks. He does the 3 quarterback with skinny stacks approach. I like the team. I think he's got David Njoku, Pat Fryermuth seems like a totally fine tight end room to me. The wide receivers are pretty strong. Goes 3 to start. Gets Christian Kirk as a strong value in the middle round, along with Brian Thomas. Got those guys paired up with the quarterback. Takes a late Marvin Mims and OBJ. And at running back, good mix of like safe floor with James Cook, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, and then some RB2 bets on Chuba Hubbard, Damian Pierce, Will Shipley. So I think that's another strong team. Do you guys want me to be giving? I haven't given grades to either of you. I'm doing so many of them in this one that I'm just skipping over the grading part because it's harder for me to think of actual grades. As I said, I feel like I lean towards B pluses. I feel like I'm tempted to just say B plus all the time. I feel like that's kind of like the standard of like I think this is a plus EV good team without like any big outliers in terms of falling values, that kind of thing. All right, so we have for Mario has Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, fun quarterback room. Has James Conner, Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Ty Chandler, Kendre Miller, Roshan Johnson, and Elijah Mitchell at running back. So he doesn't take his first running back until pick 93 with James Conner, but hammers it with 7 running backs in total. Starts with wide receiver, goes Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, and then waits for his last receiver at Zay Jones. And then he has Hunter Henry and Juwan Johnson at tight end. I would have been tempted to do a 3 tight end build here, but I think it's probably fine to just have Henry and Juwan Johnson. I think that they're both like relatively strong late tight end bets. And stacked it up pretty well. Joe Burrow with Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Did not get any like Jermaine Burton, Andre Oshowitz, but plenty of stacking there with his Burrow. He has Caleb Williams with Roshan Johnson, DJ Moore. I think that is strong enough. So that looks like another strong B plus kind of team. Charles has Lamar Jackson and JJ McCarthy. That's a really fun quarterback room. Lamar Jackson and JJ McCarthy. Has Joe Mixon, Zach Moss, Tyjae Spears, Jalen Wright, Deontay Foreman, Audric Estime, and then at wide receiver he has Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Keon Coleman, Cortland Sutton, Gabe Davis, Rashad Bateman, Devontae Walker. At tight end he has Evan Ingram and TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson, I'm worried about all the time missed, but also Evan Ingram perfectly fine to hold him over, to be just the guy you need until TJ Hawkinson is back. As far as stacking goes, he has Lamar Jackson with Rashad Bateman and Tez Walker. So just those 2 later receivers, which can happen with you take Lamar Jackson and then you kind of push it, hoping for one of the other pass catchers, Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers, to come back. They don't know it's come back to you. You kind of have to do this. I think you pulled it off as best you could there. I guess JJ McCarthy with J-Jets and Hawkinson later, so it could be a coming on late Hawkinson. Got the double stack there, so another strong team here for Charles. We get TM Longacre here, has Jalen Hurts, early quarterback with the late Geno Smith, like that. Has Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Jerome Ford, Ray Davis, J.K. Dobbins at running back. At wide receiver has A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Josh Palmer, Jalen Tolbert, Devontae Parker, and at tight end, Dallas Goedert and Noah Fant. So a lot of like really strongly correlated team here as Hurts with A.J. Brown, Devontae Parker, and Dallas Goedert. So he is doing my preferred method of just stacking it up. Geno Smith with Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett, and Noah Fant. So yeah, he does my preferred method of just like making big team bets. Love that team also. All right, I think that was everybody who was in the stream. Did not give you guys actual grades here, but you can, if you want grades, I'll do. I do a better job of that in the Discord. Try to give grades there. It's harder when you're thinking through it in stream. I want to give it some real thought to how we are given these grades. But that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for just pick the 2 you think are advancing to the playoffs. Man, that would be tough. That would be too. It's obviously mine, and then it's I'll give it to the person who stacked it up the most. Since I was the advocate for overstacking, I'll give it to the second most stacked team there, which I actually don't know what it is. I have to count out the bigger stacks here. Yes, Spurious asked, did we get Emo? Yeah, he was on for the first draft. So you can go back, catch Emo in the first draft that I did, and then I did a second solo draft as well. Mr. Mister is very sure that it was his that was the second most correlated. All right. Thank you guys very much for hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. I got to get out into the hot sun and walk my dog, go out for dinner. But this is a lot of fun. Go join the Discord if you have not already joined. Please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm actually going to be doing a draft tomorrow morning with Debro, Derek Brown. That should be a lot of fun also, but at an unusual time tomorrow. I think we're going live at noon Eastern. So if you want to draft with us tomorrow, go draft with me and Debro tomorrow at noon Eastern. Should be a good time. All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.